Good morning students, my name is Professor Vikas Sharma. I am from Mahatma Gandhi Nursing College and today we are going to discuss about purposes of sampling. So every researcher who is going to conduct the research in his or her area needs to understand what are different purposes of sampling, because after understanding the purposes he will take into account all the considerations of the sampling and he will do it effectively. So what are different purposes of this? We will discuss one by one. So the first and prominent purpose of sampling is it is economical. In most cases it is not possible and economical for researchers to study an entire population. So population may have unlimited elements and it is next to impossible for the researcher to approach every element of the population and conduct data collection from the every element of the population, and that is why selecting the people from the entire population who are in easy access of the researcher is a good idea. That is known as sampling. And from the accessible population, a researcher can select the samples and he can conduct a study on them who are in easy access of the researcher, and it would be definitely economical because he has to consume less resources in conducting research if he conducts a study on the accessible samples. So it is economical definitely. With the help of sampling, the researcher can save lots of time, money and resources to study a phenomenon. Next purpose is improved quality of data. So it is a proven fact that when a person handles less amount of work of fewer number of people, then it is easier to ensure the quality of the outcome. So there are two important aspects in this. A person has to handle less amount of work of fewer number of people. So the person is not conducting a study on entire population, but he is selecting just a subset of population who are the representative of the entire population and they are in easy access of the researcher, and that's why he has to handle less people and less amount of work, and that is why it becomes easier for the researcher to ensure the quality of the result of the study. Next, quick study results. So studying an entire population itself will take a lot of time, and generating research results of a large mass will be almost impossible as most research studies have time limits. So every researcher knows this fact that every research has some sort of time limits, and within that period of time he has to accomplish the task of research study, and in order to fulfill that objective he has to conduct study on the limited subjects which will consume less resources, and time is one of those resources. So he may not have to spend a lot of time in conducting research if he selects some samples from the entire population. Precision and accuracy of data. So conducting a study on an entire population provides researcher with voluminous data, and maintaining precision of that data is a daunting task. So we all understand that if the study is done on the entire population which may have unlimited elements, if we conduct a study on such population, definitely researcher will have to collect voluminous data. It would be a very large data which might be difficult to handle, and maintaining the precision of that particular data would definitely be a very difficult task. Now we'll discuss about some common characteristics of a good sample. So the first characteristic of good sample is representative. As we have already discussed that sample selected for the study must be representative of the entire population, and if it is not so, we may not expect good result from the research study. And representativeness indicates having the most common characteristics of the entire population in the samples. The sample, the good sample must always be free from bias and errors. If it is not so, again it is difficult to expect good result from the research study. No substitution and incompleteness. Sometimes what happens, samples drop out from the study before completing the study. So substituting them and incompleteness, both are the loophole or the very problematic situations where we cannot get good result of the study. So there should not be any substitution and incompleteness, and for that we have to select the samples very carefully. We must be ensured that subjects will not be dropped out in between the study. Appropriate sample size. A researcher always have to consider the fact that sample size for the type of study is different. So a researcher has to consider that what kind of study he is doing and how much sample size is appropriate for that sort of study. So considering that fact, a researcher has to select the most appropriate sample size. Now the next part in this chapter is sampling process. So there are certain steps in sampling process, and we'll go through each and every step of this process. So the first step in this process is identifying and defining the target population. So we all know this fact that a researcher has to conduct a study on the samples which are selected from the accessible population, and after conducting a study on the samples, the result of the study will be generalized on the target population. So researcher has to carefully identify and define the target population of that particular research study. The second step comes is describing the accessible population and ensuring sampling frame. So after defining and identifying the target population for his research study, the second step is describing the accessible population from which the researcher is going to select the final samples and ensuring sampling frame. So he must have a list of elements from which finally he has to draw the samples. After this step, the next step is specifying the sampling unit. So a researcher has to identify or specify the sampling unit which will be used throughout the research study, and after this he has to specify the sampling selection methods. So there are a number of sampling selection methods. So a researcher has to always specify which kind of sampling selection method he is going to select. And after this step, a researcher has to determine the sample size. As we all know that sample size varies as per the type of study, like whether it is qualitative study or quantitative study. So it depends upon the type of study that what should be the appropriate sample size. Considering that fact, a researcher has to determine the appropriate sample size. And after this, specifying the sampling plan. So what sort of sampling plan a researcher is going to select? A researcher has to specify this very clearly, that what kind of sampling plan he is going to use. And after this, a researcher has to select a desired sample. Now, after understanding about the sampling process, we'll further discuss about factors influencing sampling process. So what are the, thank you.